Hi, today I will talk about the regional effects of climate change in India. Climate change has already begun affecting weather patterns around the world. One of these effects is an increase in heat waves. India has been suffering from extreme summer temperatures for the last 2 years. Heat waves impact human health and are linked to increased droughts as well as decreased agricultural output. In the states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, heat waves are defined as periods of several days in which the temperatures are greater than 40 degrees Celsius. Greenpeace estimates that there are 330 million people in India living in areas affected by high temperatures and severe droughts. Of those, 23.5 million live in Andhra Pradesh and 17.8 million live in Telangana. Dehydration and heat stroke can cause heat-related deaths. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana reported over 2,000 heat-related deaths in 2015 and over 111 in 2016. The elderly and young children are the most affected by high heat levels. Low-income families and outdoor laborers are also disproportionately affected due to high exposure to heat and lack of utilities such as air conditioners. This year, for the first time, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh released heat wave action plans. The action plans cover an extensive array of procedures to follow in the event of a heat wave. These include identifying vulnerable groups and health risks and organizing public education on the dangers of too much heat exposure. The state plans on enabling cooling centers throughout the city, which provide temporary shelter to those without access to water or electricity. The action plan also includes a provision for access to shaded areas and drinking water for outdoor workers, slum communities, and other vulnerable populations. An awareness plan has been initiated, with heatwave warnings circulated through text alerts, WhatsApp messages, and posters in bus stands and train stations. While recent efforts to tackle the heatwave problem are admirable, the effects are mostly seen in major cities. Cooling stations are frequently seen in Hyderabad, the capital of Telangana, but are not seen outside of the city. Rural communities, which have the highest death count, are unaware of the government initiatives to help the public stave off heat stroke. Unorganized laborers are left to their own devices, and often choose to suffer working through the heat rather than losing a day's pay. Both politicians and the public have a responsibility. Politicians must be held accountable by the public, and the state has to ensure that a plan of action is not just written, but is carried out in such a way that it reaches out to all members of the public. Some barriers of action do exist. Workers outside of the state's regulations are not mandated to follow the government's recommendations for shade and rest during hot days. However, it is the government's responsibility to ensure that at least all of its citizens are informed of the dangers of heat exposure and have the knowledge of how to prevent heat stroke and heat-related health issues. Public citizens can do a few things on their part to help adapt to climate change issues. By reaching out and ensuring that our extended communities are aware of the dangers of heat stroke, we can ensure that a larger percentage of the population has a greater awareness of the dangers of heat exposure. We can also cut our consumption of water, ensuring that it's only used for essential purposes, to help preserve the already dwindling supply. Community-wide action on the part of both citizens and the state is required to help adapt to the dangerous effects of climate change.